Hey guys, what's going on? This is RJ Game News USA back today with another video. And today I'm going to go ahead and give my review of Evil Dead Burn. So if you like this kind of content, if you like horror movies in particular, hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and let's discuss Evil Dead Burn. So, before we get into my personal review, let me talk about what the critics have been saying online. Last I looked, 79% on Rotten Tomatoes. Pretty decent score. IGN gave it a 5 out of 10, and I heard their review and I thought it was awful. But instead of going over their review, I just want to give my own. So, and then y'all can decide if you want to see the movie for yourself or not. Now, I'm going to talk to you about expectations. What my expectations were going in. I expected something like an 8 out of 10. And this really did exceed my expectations. I give it a 9 out of 10. And I'm going to explain why. So, of course, I knew it would be pretty gory. I knew it would be full of good kill sequences, and it clearly did not disappoint. Where I thought it actually exceeded better than I expected was I was actually interested in the characters themselves, their motivations, the story. And it was a little more story-driven than I realized going in. I will tell you now what I think about the movie. So, first of all, let me get the bad out of the way first. And I will be spoiling the film. One of the reasons I'm not giving this movie higher than a 9, and it is a sensibility of mine, a dog gets killed 3 separate times in this movie. The same dog. I hate that shit. I don't like seeing dogs getting killed. Now, I understand some of you might go out there and be like, look, this movie's supposed to play in your sensibilities and whatever. I just don't like it. I think it's in poor taste. I think you could do literally anything to a human, even Terrifier style, on screen, and I don't have the issue there. I got a problem when it comes to if it's an infant, even older kids in movies, teenagers is understandable, but smaller kids, infants, or animals, especially dogs. I kind of have a problem with it. It's a red line for me. Don't love it. Docked it for that. I didn't think the dog was necessary to the plot. So, I just found it to be cruel. And I know a lot of you in the comments might say, woo, boo, boo, whatever. This is my opinion, okay? I just don't like seeing it in the movie. So besides that, there isn't too many more negatives. Other than, it was pretty predictable. It's pretty cliche. It didn't really have any twist, hardly. So, I mean, there's a hard ceiling on how good it could be without any kind of twist, without any kind of plot twist. It's pretty cookie cutter when it comes to, the whole final girl thing and how a horror movie works and whatnot, the particular jump scares. I do think the comedy here was a bit light, which I actually found to be on the mixed side of things. I could see both sides. I could see in an Evil Dead film people wanting more comedy, and I could see people not liking the comedy. And there was a couple chuckles. That's about it. But now on to the positives, and there are a ton of positives in this movie. So, first, I want to talk about the kills. The kills were freaking amazing. Like, whether it was towards the beginning of the movie, when the fisherman was hooked and pulled into the water, and how his friend came out there, and how the chick heated up the water, and he burned. They stuck to their theme of it being Evil Dead Burn quite a lot. There was a lot of, like, fire scenes, and steam scenes, and heat scenes, and deaths. So, I think that was a nice touch that they stuck to the theme. And so I mean, as far as the gore goes, I mean, obviously it's A+ here. It looked great. It looked like it was borderline NC-17, but it was indeed rated R. And obviously it's going to get a 5-star right there for what it does on the gore category of things. Now, where I think the movie shines, where I didn't expect it, was in the plot itself. You know, the movie, out after the title screen, basically, you know, you're talking about there's two couples there, their brothers and their wives. You're not sure exactly what's going on yet, but there's hostility there between one of the brothers and the main chick in the movie. Forgive me on names. I just forget the names immediately. Okay, I do this all the time. And basically, the dude runs off in a hissy, drunk. He's driving fast, and he runs into the girl that is in the opening shot that killed a couple people. And as a result, the curse or whatever the hell's going on transfers over to him. You know, flash forward to a funeral scene. You know, the widow isn't really all that sad that the husband's gone, because honestly, he was abusive, and seems like this is almost a blessing in disguise for her to want to get out. The rest of the family's there, though. They're pretty pushy and insistent on how things should be done. The funeral proceedings go according to plan, except for some construction that really makes it even more intolerable. You know, there's an awkward moment there where the widow's offered to give a speech, and she says she had nothing prepared. Then, in the crematory, the father asked to see his dead son one more time before he's cremated. He hears a knock. He thinks it's at the door. It's actually from the coffin itself. And in a really awesome scene, he bursts from the coffin. He kills the cremation worker. He basically puts the curse on the father. And that's how we get started, where he brings that curse back home. And when he does so, as time goes on, he acts more peculiar. Eventually, he ends up stabbing the dog. Again, a scene I don't think is necessary. Well, once he does that, and I am describing the full movie, really. This is a very spoiler-filled, so I apologize if you haven't seen it. Please have already seen this movie before I continue, because we're really getting into heavy spoilers. So, he attacks the other son's wife that's still alive while they're rushing the dad to the hospital. And he kills her, and curse goes to her. And then she comes back knocking on the door. And this is where the trailer had picked up that got me interested. Where the chick knocks on the door. She pulls the car seat out of her head. She's confronting her husband. You know, the husband falls down on some forks and knives. That's essentially ripped for the trailer. I didn't realize that was going to be the part, or that's what was going on in it. But as the time goes on, more and more of these family members keep getting turned into these undead creatures. And they're attacking the main chick, who finds a special dagger that she can use to stab these creatures and kill them. Eventually, it works its way to a final scene where William, her late husband, almost Terminator 2 looking style, with the skeleton looking skin and whatever, goes after her. She's able to thwart him and defeat him. There's a little teaser at the end about the old woman still being alive to possibly continue to the next movie. Again, I am not an Evil Dead fan. This is probably the first Evil Dead movie I've ever watched start to finish. So, like, this, you're not coming to me for the cognitive analysis on how this movie connects to other movies or any deeper meaning, but I feel like I could give a good perspective on somebody who has never really watched Evil Dead before, wasn't really that interested in it, thought it was corny or goofy or whatever. And I could tell you that this movie is serious and good, and I think it's an excellent spot to start. Sort of like how I didn't watch the Final Destination movies either until the recent one, and then I got in on that, and I really enjoyed it. This sort of had a similar feel to it, a similar flavor. And so overall, I ended up giving it a 9 out of 10. I think it's one of the best movies I've seen this year. Not the best, but one of a handful of the best movies I've seen this year. And I highly recommend it if you're a horror fan. You know, we had an action-packed May when it comes to horror movies, for sure. And you know, and movies in general were packed between April, May, and June, even with non-horror stuff. But this is definitely one that you're going to want to see in July. I'm not as interested in the Minions or Moana, or this is not for me. It's not my age group. I didn't care for Supergirl, obviously. Didn't want to see that. So this is like the perfect movie to go see if you're a horror fan or looking for something more adult. When the rest of the theaters are still playing Toy Story 5 and Moana and Minions, and there's a lot of options there for kids, which is great. But if you're an adult, you like horror movies, I suggest jumping into this one, even if you've never watched Evil Dead before. And so that's my conclusion, really. I got a few gripes here and there, but they're minor in the grand scheme of things. You know, the dog scenes knock it half a point, and being pretty predictable knock it about half a point. But other than that, a good time, a good ride, never any lulls. Would consider seeing it a second time even. I don't watch movies two times, but I enjoyed some of the scenes so much that I wouldn't mind watching it again. Anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Did you go see Evil Dead Burn? And if so, what did you think about it? Anyway, this is RJ signing out. Have a good one.